If I lost all my tools and I had to get started, I'd do it for less than $1,000. A lot of things online can easily make you feel like you need a $50,000 shop before you can ever start making sawdust, and nothing could be farther from the truth. Today I want to share with you my blueprint, what I'd buy, what I wouldn't, how I'd get started, and how you can get started this weekend, and you can be making furniture before the weekend is over. Let's go. Now, the first thing we're doing is we're starting with what I call the core 5 tools. The first thing we're going to start off with is you need some kind of a drill driver combo. Doesn't really matter what brand. It can be kind of anything, honestly. It can be Craftsman, it can be Milwaukee, DeWalt, it can be Rigid, Makita, just whatever. You just pick a color and then start from there. The thing that does matter, though, is you need to look at the voltage. So you want something a little bit bigger, in my opinion, more like a 20-volt set rather than a 12. Now, don't misunderstand me. I love my 12-volt kit, and now that I have one, I probably actually use it more than I do my 20. But the 20 is going to prevent you from hitting a ceiling where all of a sudden you can't reach this thing that you need to be able to do or drill or drive. The 20 is going to be able to get you there, and you're not going to run out of juice along the way. Whereas the 12, every once in a while, you need a little bit more power to be able to do something. So that's why we're starting with the 20. Next, we're going to start with a random orbital sander. Random orbital sander is simply a palm sander that is circular like this, and it sands in a random orbital pattern. That's all it really means. It has a hook and loop surface on the back, so it's really quick and easy to throw the sandpaper on and off. You usually get them for $100 or less. Pick these up at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's not that big a deal. Very easy to pick up. Next, we're picking up a pocket hole jig. In my opinion, Craig is the king when it comes to this. Pocket hole jig is very controversial sometimes, and it probably shouldn't be, but it is. Here's the deal. Pocket hole jig is going to be able to allow you to get started and get building something and have something built before the weekend is up. It is the king of joinery when you start out. Are there better joinery methods out there? Absolutely. Does it matter? It doesn't matter. Not right now. That's not what matters. Here's what matters. Being able to get you the confidence to build something. The pocket hole jig is the number one thing that did that for me. It gave me the confidence to step out in the shop and to feel like I could actually do this whole woodworking thing after all. Eventually, you can learn a lot of the things. You can buy a domino. You can buy all that fancy stuff that all these influencers are trying to sell you. But right now, we're starting with a simple pocket hole jig. After that, we're going to move straight into a table saw. Table saw is the heart of the workshop, in my opinion. I love a good table saw, and you really don't have to buy the most expensive one out there. Go ahead, get a decent contractor style saw. DeWalt makes a pretty good one, and it's got a great fence with a rack and pinion system, because the fence is the most important part of the saw, as well as the top. Good flat cast iron is even better if you can get a good cast iron top, but that's the thing. The top and the fence are the two key things to really make that thing great. Some people argue that a track saw is better. I think a track saw is a little bit too much of a one-trick pony. You can do too many things with a table saw. Dados, I can throw a crosscut sled on my table saw. The world is your oyster when you get good with your table saw. Read everything you can find on safety on it, because they are dangerous. But everything in here is dangerous. Skill saw, anything. It's all dangerous, right? You put a 6-inch hole saw on a drill and you can break your wrist. So just understand that you need to watch. I'd take a week and just watch everything you can find on YouTube about table saw safety, but that's where you need to go. That's going to be your most expensive tool in this whole thing. It's going to be somewhere in the $400 to $800 price range. But again, it's going to be the key to a lot of great projects and things in your shop. Sticking with the saws, you want to go ahead and just grab a simple circular saw or skill saw. I've always called them a skill saw, but again, it's just a circular saw. Your combo kit sometimes with a drill driver sometimes will actually come with a circular saw. If so, that's great. If not, get one that's electric powered. You can get those usually a little bit cheaper. I've got the cheapest one you can find I'm pretty sure I bought it at Walmart like 15 years ago. I think it's the Skill brand. It's very, very cheap, and it has cut most of the cabinetry and most of the built-ins in my home were built with that skill saw and a simple Craig AccuCut. So, again, track saws eat your heart out, but I can do a lot with a good skill saw, and that is going to be the one thing that you need to get. You got something that's too long to handle on the table saw, whatever, you're able to break some stuff down with a good skill saw and a straight edge. Next up, we're going to talk about material, and here's where things get a little tricky. People a lot of times don't realize how expensive places that are convenient are. When we think about going to get lumber, the first place that crops into our mind, Lowe's and Home Depot. Here's the deal. Lowe's and Home Depot are very expensive when it comes to lumber. They're fine for a lot of things. I buy a lot of tools there. I buy a lot of different things there. But if you really want to save some money, you need to stop shopping for lumber where you buy your light bulbs. You're going to understand when you finally go to a decent lumberyard or hardwood supplier. I can buy 4x8 sheets of good birch cabinet grade plywood that is already pre-finished on one side for less than I can buy one sheet of mediocre birch plywood at Home Depot or Lowe's. I'll tell you how much less. Normally, I can buy a 3/4 inch sheet pre-finished on one side for about 50 bucks, 55-ish at my hardwood supplier. If I buy the same thing from Lowe's, or actually I can't even buy the same thing from Lowe's because the one at Lowe's doesn't have the same amount of plies, so it's not as strong. The other thing is I can't buy the pre-finished there, or at least not right off the rack. It's about 80 or 90 bucks for that sheet of plywood, and it's inferior. So it's not a great place to go when it comes to that. Same thing with your lumber, your hardwoods, your poplar, any of those kind of things. It's going to be infinitely more expensive to get it there. Is it more convenient? Absolutely, but it is not cheaper. When you go to Home Depot, you're paying for the orange apron. You're not actually paying for any knowledge. When you go to a good hardwood supplier, I use Dakota Hardwoods. I absolutely love them. When I go in there and I talk to these guys, like I literally have these guys' number. I can text them and say, hey, do you have this? What's the price going for this? And my guy will text me back and give me the prices. None of that exists when you go to Home Depot or Lowe's. And that's why I love this. Also, they actually have knowledge at hardwood suppliers. Whereas you go to Home Depot, you're just going to get Dylan and Hammers, and you're going to ask him something about lumber, and he doesn't have a clue. So that's one of the benefits of going to a good lumberyard or hardwood supplier, is they actually have knowledge about that stuff. I even buy things like my undermount slides and my hinges and those kinds of things. They also sell those at Dakota Hardwoods. And so I can pick their brain on, hey, how's this selling? What do you sell more of these? Do people talk about any complaints on these? That kind of stuff. It is just really nice to be able to talk to people that actually know something. Now, here's going to be the secret code for you when you walk in there. You need to ask for what is called S4S. You say, what in the world is that? S4S means surfaced four sides. If you remember, we didn't talk about a planer when we put our tool list together a minute ago. So S4S means that all four sides have been planed and straightened so that you don't have to have a planer. This is the key as you're starting out, is you don't have to mess with any of that. Now you have stuff that has already been planed, already been straightened. All four sides are ready to go and you can start building. S4S is your secret code. Now, when you're starting out, the goal is not to be a side hustle hero or a content creator. Your goal is to begin building furniture. And the first place you want to start building furniture is in your home. When you build things for your home, here's the thing. You're learning along the way. And so if you decide I need to build a little kitchen island thing that I want to put in my kitchen, it's one of the first things that I built. If I want to build this, I build it. And I get to work out the kinks and I find out what works and what doesn't work. That's a great place to start. You don't want to start by building for other people. So we're not starting an Etsy store. We're not going to put out a bunch of stuff on Facebook Marketplace or anything like that we're doing custom orders. None of that kind of stuff. Because well, first of all, you don't want to do custom orders. We are not starting out with custom orders when we're learning. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to build for our home, and then our home becomes our showroom. When our home is our showroom, now we work out the kinks beforehand, we build something, we put it in there. And here's the beauty of it. When your friends, your neighbors come over, whatever, and they say, man, that's a really cool looking like coffee table. Where in the world do you get that? You get to say, I built that actually. And then there's a good chance that they go, man, can you build me something like that? And this is how this thing gets started when you want to start doing this as a side hustle and making a little bit of money. But again, we're not making custom orders. If they say, hey, can you build me this octagon table that I saw on Pinterest? The answer is no, you can't, because you don't want to end up in commission hell. Okay, that is where it's going to send you. So you want to start off in a place that you're comfortable at when you're starting out. A few years down the road, absolutely, you can start experimenting with some other things. But right now, your home is your showroom. That is where the key is at when it comes to this kind of stuff, when it comes to building. So what are we going to build? Here's my suggestion. The first three things, some of the easiest three things to build: coffee table, some kind of a bench, and a bookshelf. Now, why not a chair or something? Because chairs are tricky. There's some angles involved, it's a little tricky. A bench is something you can still sit on, but it's a little bit more basic, and it allows you to be able to work on your joinery. Now, the thing about it is that when it comes to this, you have to understand that your joinery and the things that you're using are going to be the things that, some people may say, again, that, oh, we can't put pocket holes in a table, in aprons on tables, or in real wood, or whatever these things are. I want you to understand something. That's all baloney, okay? I'm not saying that your great uncle's cousin's Uncle Donnie maybe didn't have a table one time explode from pocket holes. Maybe he did. I've never seen it. I'm not saying it won't ever happen, but I'm just saying I've been building furniture for 15 years, and when I started out, I built a lot of stuff with pocket holes. None of it's exploded. A lot of it's still sitting in my house. So just understand that you can absolutely build stuff with pocket holes. Don't worry about it. That's also why that pocket hole jig is such an important part of this whole thing, because it gets you started. The other thing is that when it comes to things like the coffee table, the bookshelf, you begin to learn, in other words, a good bookshelf, a lot of times I build those out of plywood, and then I put a face frame on them, then I put a back on them. So you're able to kind of experiment with plywoods for something like that. A good coffee table is going to allow you to be able to just kind of understand the concepts of a table, and then you can make a end table, and it's basically just a smaller coffee table, right? And then you can build a real table, and that's basically just a bigger coffee table. So lots of little things like that kind of allow you to do this. And what this does is this gives you the building blocks to be able to get the momentum going, because that's really what it takes. It just takes some things to get building blocks going so that you've got that momentum, so that you feel like you're actually doing something. And this will allow you to be able to do that. Woodworking for the rest of us isn't about gear. It's about grit. It's about making sawdust. It's about having confidence to walk out into your shop and be able to build something. If you want my 2026 list of tools that I've suggested, I'm happy to provide those to you in a PDF, as well as I'll even throw in a Lumberyard script that I've put together to help you to know exactly what to say when you step out there and you go to the Lumberyard. It can be a little bit intimidating if you've never been there. Try to understand exactly some of those terms that they're going to say and some of those things like S4S that we talked about earlier. I'm happy to provide those things for you. All you need to do is you need to email me at hello@secondshiftfm.com. I will send that right over to you. I won't try to sell you anything else. 100%, all of this is free. I just want to help you out. That's it.